Okay, you cannot tell someone to stop blinking.
Just
What the heck?
Just either keep them open or closed. Pick one.
Welcome back to Josh and Kristie Stealing the Internet. I'm Kristie.
And I'm Josh. We've got some more great Reddit stories for you today, so let's dive in.
Am I the asshole for paying for my dog's surgery instead of helping my girlfriend's sister with her rent?
Oh, I don't know. I feel like you gotta prioritize surgery over someone else's rent.
I have a dog that's on the older side at 9 years old, and a few weeks ago it lost the use of its back legs. I had to get surgery for him because I was not getting him put down. All in all, it came to about £8,500, all of which I had to pay for out of pocket. This wasn't a huge problem because I have plenty saved up and in general I am well off. Here's the issue. My girlfriend's sister has been struggling with rent. Apparently, she's behind by a few months and panicking about being kicked out. When my girlfriend found out what I paid for the surgery, she got really upset with me and said I was selfish. Her words were along the lines of, "You'd spend $8,000 on a dog, but you won't even help my sister keep a roof over her head?"
Okay, pets are your responsibility. I don't think a 9-year-old dog is so old that you should just give up on it. You clearly saved up an emergency fund, probably because of this reason. You know that the dog is going to need some care.
Yeah, as they're getting older, you gotta start saving up money because you know they're gonna get more expensive with the care they need.
Yeah, and why would it be your problem if girlfriend's sister can't make rent?
Girlfriend's sister is a whole ass adult. She should be paying her own rent.
Absolutely. Like, if you bought a new car, would girlfriend be mad at you for that?
Since then, my girlfriend has been pissed off with me and keeps calling me cheap and selfish for not helping her sister. I feel like I shouldn't have to suffer for another person's poor life choices. The reason her sister is in this predicament is because her relationship fell apart and she's living in a place she can't afford.
She needs to find a roommate then.
She needs to find a roommate or a cheaper place.
Yeah.
Further to that, I own a 4-bedroom home and my girlfriend suggested her sister moving in with us, but I refused. Am I the asshole for refusing to help her sister?
No, you aren't really responsible for your girlfriend's sister. I don't know, did they at any point say how far into the relationship they are?
They did not. So, I don't know if they're, long-term planning to get married or, they're living together.
Yeah, girlfriend's living there.
Yeah. So they're somewhat serious, but I still don't feel like her sister is your responsibility.
No, not to that point. I don't know how to comment on whether or not you should let her move in with you for a bit.
Yeah.
Because it is also, even if you own the house, girlfriend lives there. It is also her house.
Yes.
Not on a mortgage, but the fact that she lives there.
But I do feel like someone moving into your house needs to be a 2 yeses sort of thing.
It does.
If someone says no to someone moving in, then that person should not move in. Everybody needs to be comfortable with accepting a new roommate.
Yeah, and I think they were a little vague on how that conversation went too, because I feel like he almost intoned that, it's my house. I don't want her there.
Yeah.
It is a little bit. You have a roommate, and it's a mutual discussion thing. But I don't think you're the asshole for taking care of your dog.
Your dog is your responsibility. That is who you should be prioritizing because your dog has no one else to depend on. Your girlfriend's sister should be able to take care of herself. She's a person. She's a whole adult.
Yeah. It really sounds like girlfriend's sister just needs to find a roommate.
She's making poor life choices. I mean, it sucks that her relationship fell apart, but she needs to find a roommate or a cheaper place to live.
Yes.
Also, is your girlfriend contributing anything to her sister to help her out? Or is she just expecting you to be Mr. Moneybags and pay for everything?
That is an excellent question. Is girlfriend paying you rent?
Yeah, I want to know what girlfriend is contributing to this relationship and to her sister in her time of need.
Yeah, we really need some more information, but from what's there, you're not the asshole.
Well, I definitely don't think you're the asshole for prioritizing your dog, but if you could afford it, depending on the situation, you might want to help, cover your girlfriend's sister's moving expenses to a cheaper spot.
Yeah, and I can also say, he said I saved up a decent amount. He did not say I drained my savings for this dog's surgery.
Yeah.
Do you have extra that you can help girlfriend's sister with? Yeah, I don't know if you're obligated to do that.
But it's something you could consider if you want to be nice. I mean, you are by no means obligated to, but helping girlfriend's sister might be a nice thing to do if you are serious about staying with your girlfriend and being part of her family.
Yeah. What does Reddit think? Could this be the one where Reddit finally turns against the dog?
Oh no, that will never happen. Top comment, NTA. However, you need to dump your girlfriend who is determined to make her sister's poor life choices your problem. That's extreme. Reddit always goes to dump them or divorce them.
That's true. It does sound like this could still be solved with words.
Yeah, I feel like that is a bit extreme. Like, let's try talking about it first.
Yeah.
Your girlfriend's sister has people who can help her with her money problems. Your dog has you. NTA. Yeah, but girlfriend thinks that you should be one of those people that her sister has to help her with money problems.
She absolutely does.
Girlfriend is overstepping her boundaries, asking for that much money. How much is she contributing to her sister?
Yeah, I don't know. We really need more information if we want to give any more input other than not the asshole,
Yeah.
I think. So, if you could just post your full banking information.
Yes. And the whole situation with your girlfriend and her sister. We need more info.
Yeah, we need full incomes, your taxes from the last 3 to 4 years.
A lot of people are saying that girlfriend should move in with her sister and help her sister pay the expenses.
Reddit really does not want these two to be in a relationship.
They do not. Your girlfriend is trash, throw her away. Let her deal with her sister on her own.
Yeah, the solution is sister needs a roommate, and Reddit doesn't like your girlfriend, so kick her ass out. Am I the asshole for telling my wife I don't want her to cook anymore?
How meanly did you say that? But, I mean, I'd be like, yeah, sure, I don't need to cook. Fine with me, you can do the cooking. Which you already do, so... But if he's asking if he's the asshole, I feel like he probably said it very meanly. So yeah, he's probably a little bit of an asshole.
As the title says, my wife and I work in the same industry. That's where we met. We also have 3 children now, and we split the responsibilities 50-50. The thing is, there's one thing about my wife that irritates me. Her cooking is slow.
Slow?
I make chicken with potatoes and salad in 30 minutes, while hers takes 3 hours. I make pasta with sauce in 25 minutes, while hers takes an hour.
Okay, I feel like, are you using frozen food and like pre-made pasta sauce and she is like making everything from scratch? That would explain the time differences.
I will tell you now, we never find out.
Oh, okay. Maybe she's just slow though.
Rice with a side dish takes me 40 minutes, while hers takes over an hour. Soup, an hour for me, 5 hours for her.
She likes to let it simmer.
I gotta say, with the soup thing, it depends so much on how many shortcuts you take. Because we make a pot pie soup.
The turkey pot pie soup, it's the best.
Yeah, but I can make that in like 2 hours if I use just like frozen chicken breasts instead of like defrosting a whole turkey and boxed stock. Or I can go ahead and use all of our scraps and make a homemade stock and like roast a whole turkey, and that takes 12 hours.
Yeah. But it's so much better when you do it the long way.
It is. This leads to small irritations that start to accumulate inside of me. For example, one day we came home. I cooked dinner and it was quick and delicious. The next day we got home and I managed to go through the whole routine, help the kids with school, and go shopping for the next day. She was only 30% done. The next day I was cleaning the garage and asked her to call me for dinner. I finished cleaning, but she didn't call me. She was in the exact same spot she was in when I started.
It sounds like she is just getting distracted by other things and not actually cooking for all of that time.
I have that one friend who will sit there and just chop at like 1/10 my speed. And it's very clear they're not comfortable holding a knife. They don't really know what they're doing, and they're just kind of like overthinking every single slice. So she could be either way here.
Yeah. It's hard to know without more info.
It is. I don't know 100% if she's just going way more in depth than she needs to and making like fancy dishes, or if she's just very slow. At this point, I broke down. I told her I was taking over the cooking and then confessed that I was fed up with how slow she was and that I'd rather she never cooked again. I know that might sound cruel, but that's how I felt. I also started complaining that I really couldn't understand how 2 people making the same dish could do it at such different times. She said okay, but got offended. Since then, she's been making constant comments like, I'll cook today. No, your dad will cook because I'm too slow. Or, you're a minute late. Are you sure you're not too slow?
I feel like you have this coming.
It sure sounds like you didn't have the conversation like...
No, it sounds like he got fed up and finally exploded.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, okay. But now she's got all these snarky little comebacks.
That's absolutely... She's full of snark now.
Oh no, I'm too slow.
It does sound like either you could cook together or...
Oh no, I feel like that would be disastrous.
You're right. No, you know what? That would be a complete disaster.
He'd keep being like, you're doing that so slow, here, let me take over. And she would get even more annoyed. They'd both be so annoyed by the end of cooking together. No, don't do that.
That would destroy the whole relationship, wouldn't it?
That was a terrible idea, Josh.
Maybe meal prepping then.
Yeah.
Set her to making like a week's worth of meals on the weekend, and she can take all the time she wants. Let's go into a few comments.
Okay.
Don't people that live together, like, you know, a husband and wife, understand each other, talk, cook together, have fun together, get the kids involved, teach them about food? Sounds like the kitchen in OP's house is not a fun spot to hang out. The kitchen and the bathroom are the two most important rooms in the house. I mean, that's true. I don't know why bathroom got thrown in there, but yeah, it sounds like when OP's in the kitchen, it's all about business.
Yeah. He's on a schedule. He gotta get this done.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, it is a weekday, and they're trying to, like, get the kids' homework and get them to bed and stuff.
Yeah, so he's stuck doing all these other chores while she's taking her sweet time cooking.
Mm-hmm.
And stuff, and he's feeling like he's doing way more work than she is, even though it's taking the same amount of time.
Yeah. Sounds like she may actually hate cooking and found a way to never have to do it again. Brilliant.
Weaponized incompetence.
I would agree that it's weaponized incompetence, but she sure took offense to him telling her no.
Yeah, she wasn't like, yes, it worked.
Yeah. And then a lot of comments on Reddit are asking if it's actually the same meal.
That's what I want to know. I feel like if it's taking her that long, she must be making a lot of things from scratch, and he's just throwing boxed and frozen things together.
Yeah, I like this comment. Okay, are they truly the same meals? I can definitely make chicken and veggies in 30 minutes, and I can make a recipe that is also technically chicken and veggies, and it takes longer. Probably not 3 hours, though. The 30-minute one will be decent and definitely works for a weekday rush. However, sometimes I want something a little nicer and tastier. That means it's going to take longer. Neither meal is wrong as long as everyone gets fed and it isn't making anyone late for things or eating at a horrible time. Is this the case with her? Also, why couldn't you have just talked to her calmly about your frustration first? I think that's big.
Yeah.
Is that you let it simmer for far too long and it exploded.
Mm-hmm.
You may have had this conversation in your head 100 times, been upset about it 100 times, and always bit your tongue and said nothing. You were getting frustrated, but she may not have known that you were getting upset. When finally you were going to say something, you approached the interaction like she knew about the previous feelings you'd been having and had been ignoring your feelings, but she didn't know about them. Why didn't you talk to her way before you were fed up? Find out what's going on and how to love past it, instead of surprising her with your being upset. I'd be insulted too, and you're going to have to work to get out of this. And a word to the wise, whatever you do, if you find yourself in a hole, remember that more digging will rarely get you out.
I like that.
It really went from 0 to 100.
Hey, if you've made it this far into the video, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button.
Yeah, it lets us know that we should keep making fun videos like this for you.
Am I the asshole for laughing out loud when my wife said the song Golden from Kpop Demon Hunters was demonic?
I mean, it's the opposite of demonic, isn't it?
I mean, technically, yes. They're fighting the demons.
Let's hear this one, I guess.
So, my wife just got home from church in her church group and immediately said our kids should no longer be singing the song or watching Kpop Demon Hunters, saying someone in the group said it is demonic.
Just someone in the group? Okay.
I just laughed because that is outrageous. Wouldn't the song be more in line with Rumi facing her demons and seeing the light? Heck, if I wanted to turn it into belief, golden or the light could signify God. I'm still eye-rolling as I type this. I'm not religious, and I encourage my kids to make their own choice. But come on. Now she's upset and mad I laughed at her comment and said it was ridiculous. Am I the asshole?
I don't think you're the asshole. I like the way that you put it. In that song, it's a good movie for starters.
Yes, very good music.
Yeah. In that song, being golden is about accepting yourself, finding your inner peace, and not letting your demons control you. It's actually a really good message.
And the whole point of the movie is fighting the demons.
Yes.
And, like, stopping them from coming to Earth and stuff, which you think would be a good message. But
it's not Christian demons.
Yes. No. Okay, this is where, okay, sorry. I grew up in, like, a very fundamental, like, church environment and stuff, and I was not allowed to watch many movies because they did not agree with our belief system. And this is a movie that my mother would not have let me watch at all because it had demons in the name, and it was about demons.
Mm-hmm.
She would have heard the name Kpop Demon Hunters and been like, absolutely not, I have no idea what it's about, but you are not watching it.
We don't allow K-pop in this house.
No demons! Now, also, even if she knew what the movie was about, she'd been like, no, we're not watching that because they're fighting demons by themselves, not through the power of God.
Well, for starters, they're not Christian, but they are using, like, religious powers, aren't they?
The power of song and coming together.
It's
not necessarily, like, Christian beliefs.
No, but it is their religion is what I'm saying.
But it's not Christian, which is not allowed in Christian fundamental groups.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they are using the power of, like, I guess I don't know the beliefs enough.
Oh, I don't know. They never say in the movie, like, what specific beliefs it is. It's just people coming together through the power of song. So I do see where, coming from the church point of view, this is not an acceptable movie because it does not align with our beliefs. However, one just random person in her group said this to her.
Yeah.
It's not like coming from the higher-ups in the church and the leadership or anything, being like, hey, this isn't okay. Although I do feel like they might say that if, anybody ever asked them about it. It's just they're not talking about Kpop Demon Hunters at church usually,
Yeah, not usually, no.
But I bet if you asked, like, the minister his beliefs about this movie, he'd be like, it is not aligned with our beliefs.
Okay, but get a better minister is what I have to say to that.
Yeah. But she's just taking this one random person in her group's word as law on this. And she's not thinking about it herself. And if she thought about it herself and then also came to this conclusion that she doesn't want her kids, watching this because it doesn't align with her beliefs and what she wants to teach her children, that might be a more okay. But she's just taking some random person's word at her church as, this is, okay, no more. We're not allowed to watch this anymore. Someone said it was bad.
I mean, maybe you need to sit her down and make her watch the movie. It's a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a waste of time to watch the movie. It's got kind of the same message as Frozen. Like, you should love yourself.
Yeah.
But it's delivered better. She eventually gets that little confrontation with her aunt and is like, hey, no, I'm gonna be me. Like, there are far worse things that you could be upset about and banning your children from watching.
I agree. I feel like earlier it sounded like I was taking the side of the Christian church and, like, do not watch these movies. And I do not agree with that. I just said I understand where they're coming from. But that is not something I personally believe you should be banning.
I don't think you came across as being like we should be thumping our Bibles at them.
Yeah. But that's how I kind of grew up. So I was like, I do understand the reasoning behind it. I do not agree with it. And, like, I wouldn't not raise our kids like that. But yeah. I do kind of feel like I missed out on a lot in my childhood that my friends got to experience because I wasn't allowed to do that stuff.
I know. We could do a whole
episode on that.
I was going to say we could do a whole series on it of, like, making Kristie experience the media that everyone else got to grow up on.
Yeah, because there's a lot of stuff as an adult I still haven't seen because it contained demons or witchcraft or something.
Or just a naughty child.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. I wasn't allowed to watch Rugrats because Angelica had an attitude. And my mom was like, you will pick up Angelica's bad attitude and be a terrible person to be around. That kind of was a fair point, though. I do feel like that would have happened.
Yeah, I could see that. I will also add in, this is not us trying to drag your mom through the mud.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah, my mom watches this. Mom, I still love you.
This is just, she did a good job raising you.
Oh, yeah, I had the best parents. They raised me so good. They were so loving and caring. But there was a little bit of strictness.
And she's a lot less strict now.
Oh, yeah, so much less. I do also feel like she was a lot less strict with me than she was with my sisters.
Yeah.
And, like, when I started hitting my teenage years, she mellowed out so much. Still wasn't allowed to go, like, trick-or-treating, but I was allowed to watch Scooby-Doo.
There you go.
In my teenage years, which wasn't before.
Scooby-Doo's great.
It had monsters in it.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the whole point of Scooby-Doo.
Yeah. Except none of them are real monsters.
Well, it depends on which Scooby-Doo you're watching.
I
don't know. Go to comments.
Yeah, comments aren't great. They're pretty much all just bashing Christianity as a cult.
Oh, so we went... I don't know why I thought Reddit would have some amount of self-control.
No, I think you need to get her to go to a different church because it sounds like she's being sucked into a cult.
It was one person said it in the group, and wife picked up on it. It's not like any of the, like you said, it's not like any of the church leadership said anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
If it had been like the church leadership and like the parents group or whatever were all protesting this movie and stuff. It sounds like nobody cared except for one person.
We keep going on this cult possibility, and I get that, but this feels deeper than that. She didn't say the entire church said this. She said one singular person said that. And without doing any research on her own, she took that one person's opinion at face value. This is more of a wife thing than that particular church. She needs to work on her critical thinking and take people's opinions as just that, an opinion. She can research things she's curious about and then draw her own conclusions.
Yeah, she needs to watch the movie.
Yeah, and figure out her own beliefs about it,
Mm-hmm.
NTA, haven't seen the show myself, but it's literally about fighting against demons. FYI, your wife isn't a member of the church. She's a member of a cult. Cult.
I mean, it does sound like just one person in the group is a little xenophobic to me. But also, you should not judge the whole group based off of one bad apple. Like, they either saw the word demon, and they're like, oh no, I don't like demons, although it says hunter right after it. Or they're like, this is a foreign show about not Christians fighting demons. It's a good way to introduce your children to other cultures, and the fact that K-pop fans also don't like demons.
Yeah.
They're just like Christians.
That song is literally intended to basically defeat their universe's version of Satan forever. But sure, that's demonic because they're doing it themselves, not with the power of the Christian God, I guess. Hilarious. Anyone who's not deep enough into the cult mindset should see right through that shit. Ooh, I like this comment. I was raised in a super hardcore Catholic family, and I agree. If I absolutely had to give it a Christian interpretation, it's about a girl born with original sin, like all humans according to Christian doctrine, who uses love and music and faith to conquer demons. She has a brief moment of doubt when the demons trick her, but then returns to the light. Even Jesus had a moment of doubt in the Bible. The Han moon could be read as a metaphor for God's grace that Satan is attacking. Or people can just decide everything is satanic and be a buzzkill, I guess.
That's a very well written out post.
Yeah, I was like, that is a very good way to correlate this metaphorically to the Bible. I was like, this could be, you could see this as a Christian movie.
You could. I mean, it's...
Or you could be xenophobic and be like, no, they're foreign and they're fighting demons with music and not God.
Yeah. I think that person did an excellent job of saying the things that I was struggling to say.
Yeah. Anyways, there's a lot of religious theory you could go into on this, and it keeps going. People are replying to that comment with more things, but I'm not going to get into all that.
No, we'll link it down below if you really want to dig in. Am I the asshole for telling my stepkids that my kids will get my stuff?
This is tough. I feel like stepkids always create so many issues.
Those damn stepkids.
Those damn stepkids. I totally think it depends on how old they were when you got with their dad. If they're in their teens, they're not going to create the same bond with you as if they were little kids. Also, it depends on how they treat you and you treat them. What is your bond like? And that will determine whether they deserve the same treatment as your kids get.
Last weekend, I was getting ready to make a photo book for my baby who's coming soon. And them being kids, they wanted to help and look through their photo books. So, we looked through a few, and we found pictures from me and their dad's wedding and engagement. My stepdaughter asked if I still had my dress, and I told her that I did. And she asked if she could have it for her wedding, and I didn't get a chance to answer as she started going on about how she was going to look like me on her wedding day, and just stuff like that.
How old are these kids?
She doesn't say in the initial story, but she does make an edit to say they're 11 and 13.
Yeah, I was like, I need to know how old the kids are and how long she's been with their dad.
She went on to looking through the book more, and asked about my rings, and I told her they were my great-grandma's, and we made them more my style and just fixed them up a little. She asked if when she was older, could she have them for her wedding. I had softly explained that I would rather my bio daughter get first dibs on stuff, and that their mom probably has family heirlooms. That made them kind of sad, so when they went home, I'm assuming they told their mom, and that made her mad. She called us and told me that why should some new kid get something over her kids? And I explained to her that because I would rather any bio kids have dibs first, and if my bio kids don't want it, then it's free game after that, and that she should have stuff to pass down to her kids. She said she doesn't, as she didn't have a wedding and her family didn't save stuff like that. I told her I could no longer help her with that. My bio kids would still get dibs. Everyone's mad except my husband, and we said we would talk to them. I still feel bad, but I wouldn't want to give them something that my bio kids might want, because it's actually connected to them and a part of their DNA. So, am I the asshole?
That is tough. I'm going with a little bit of asshole. I do understand where you're coming from, but you married these kids' dads. I hope that you were trying to accept these kids as also your kids, and like as part of your family. I understand wanting your kids to have your great-grandmother's rings because they have like a blood connection to her, even though they don't have an emotional connection because they probably never met her. Your stepkids do not have an emotional connection or a blood connection to your great-grandmother, but they do have a connection to you. Maybe find something of yours that you can give to them so they still feel like you love them. You're passing something of yours onto them and creating a new family heirloom. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
I would say that these girls are 11 and 13. We don't know which one she told this to.
Yeah.
You could have very easily just pushed this down the line until they're more mature.
Yes, that's the other thing I wanted to mention. They're not getting married anytime soon. You could have just said, well, we'll talk about that someday when you get engaged.
Yeah, you could easily have said, when you all are older, we'll talk about who gets what.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you had to do. Because they might not even want it when they're in their 20s.
Oh, yeah, by then they'll be like, oh, no, that dress is so old-fashioned, and I wouldn't look good in that. I don't want that.
Yeah, it might not be a problem. And by the time they're in their 20s, they'll probably be able to accept the fact that you want the family dress to go down in your bloodline. Or your opinion might change. This is not a conversation that needed to happen at 11 and 13. You could very easily have been like, well, we'll figure that out later.
I don't think you owe your stepkids family heirlooms, but if you love them like their real family, I think you would find some of your stuff to pass on to them. That's all I'm saying.
I think that's perfectly fair.
Yeah, find another way to make them feel included and loved and like they're getting family history and stuff.
Yeah, this was absolutely like an 11-year-old girl just dreaming about being a princess on her wedding day.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have to crap all over it.
Yeah, that really was kind of mean.
Yeah, you did not deliver it good.
Okay, yeah, so she was totally an asshole in how she handled this and what she said to that little girl, because she made that little girl feel terrible. So many better ways to handle it. Just push it off down the line or come up with something else that you would give her.
I don't think any reasonable adult expected you to instantly know what you're going to give to who when she asked. I think every other person would just be like, why are you telling anything concrete right now?
Mm-hmm.
As a parent, you need to be able to push things off and be like, we'll figure that out later.
But
you're going to look so pretty on your wedding day.
But her stepkid's biological mother is totally an asshole, too. You don't go around demanding other people's family heirlooms for your kids because these new kids that she's having aren't as important as her kids.
Yeah, that's unhinged.
That was unhinged.
Yeah, bio mom is a crazy person. I can understand why dad divorced her. Or apparently just had a baby and then didn't marry her, it sounds like.
Oh, yeah, because it sounds like they didn't get married.
Yeah, but to think that you are entitled to someone else's family heirlooms, or even an opinion on what happens with them.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Now, Biomom did have a right to be a little bit mad about how she handled it and that she was so rude and hurt her daughter's feelings, but to demand the family heirlooms is a no-no.
Reddit is pretty firmly that she is the asshole for the way she told.
Okay, yeah.
Not that she doesn't want them to have the dress, but the way that she told them was a complete asshole behavior. I don't think you appreciate just how lucky you were to be asked.
Yes.
Which I think they mean in terms of this girl likes you so much.
Your stepdaughter actually likes you. You hear so many stories about where the stepkids do not accept the new stepparent. And this stepdaughter thinks you are awesome and amazing and she loves you and she wants to look just like you on her wedding day.
Absolutely. That's great.
Yeah.
Someone replied to that, how cruel of her to form a bond with the children and then shit all over them. The child obviously loves her and looks up to her. Perhaps she was scared about the baby coming and was looking for signs that OP will still love her too. And OP said, you're not my real child.
Yes, that's so hurtful.
Wow, way to ruin what the kid clearly thought was a great relationship.
Yeah, that kid is going to remember that for the rest of her life, and she will never be as close to you as she was before this happened.
Something tells me that the daughter went from, I want to look like you at my wedding, to I'm not going to bother with an invite. Real quick.
Well, there are hopefully many years before this little girl gets married in which OP can hopefully salvage and fix this relationship with her stepdaughter.
Honestly, yeah, you probably owe her an apology.
Yeah.
And you can fix the relationship from there and actually look at your wedding stuff and decide if you really want it all to go to your bio kid. Because, I don't know, I like the idea of splitting it up a little.
You get my veil, you get my tiara, you get my dress,
Mm-hmm.
you know. I feel like each daughter should get a little something borrowed to wear.
Yeah, because they are your daughters.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do one more comment.
Okay.
You're the asshole. She said she wanted to look like you on her wedding day. That's just about the sweetest thing I've ever heard, and you replied, I'd rather my biological daughter than you. She's 11, so you could have kicked the can way down the road and said, that's a really long time away, so we can talk about it when you're older. There's a 95% chance that your bio kid won't want to wear your wedding dress anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And now your stepdaughter knows she'll always be second in your heart. You need to do some damage control. Take her out for a special day, just her, and give her something that's meaningful to you for her to keep. She's trying to be closer to you, let her. That's pretty much Reddit's opinion on it.
Yes, and I agree with that 100%.
Before you read your story, you should reach over and slap that axolotl.
Am I the asshole for responding tersely to a sister-in-law's rebuke over email?
Tersely?
Yes.
My God.
How very rude.
Let's hear it.
Sunday evening, we, me, female 46, husband, male 46, and daughter, female 7, were invited to visit my husband's sister for dinner. She put out a spread of delicious foods for adults, but our child rejected most of it. Curried fish, eggplant salad, quinoa salad, etc. Child wolfed down multiple pieces of a very crumbly bread loaf from a bakery. Child knew that she was spilling some crumbs onto the floor beneath the dining room table, but didn't think much about it. We, parents, were in a group conversation and did not notice. Admittedly, we could have and should have checked the floor afterwards, noticed, and cleaned it up. We thanked her and hugged goodbyes and left at 7. At 11 p.m., we get an email from her informing us that she discovered that, in her assumption, our daughter swept lots of breadcrumbs from her chair down onto the floor, and that this is extremely unacceptable behavior, and that sister-in-law had to vacuum it up.
Oh my God, you had to vacuum after people came over?
Sister-in-law would have told our child to vacuum it if sister-in-law had seen it. Sister-in-law says this is not the first time she has observed our child leaving garbage on the floor without cleaning it up. This is completely unacceptable. In my home, at least.
She's 7! Who expects a 7-year-old to clean up to that extent?
Who expects a 7-year-old to vacuum? Can they even maneuver a vacuum?
I remember trying to vacuum a couple times as a 7-year-old, and that vacuum was heavy.
Yeah.
No, when our nieces and nephews came over when they were still 7,
Yeah.
I just expected to have to sweep up a pile of crumbs.
Yes. I was like, that is part of having kids.
Yes.
And having kids visit your home. Is it's going to be a little messy when they leave?
If all it was a pile of crumbs, that was a good visit.
Yes, you were lucky. It could have been a lot worse.
It could have been.
Could have been jam on the walls.
Yeah.
Moreover, sister-in-law wants to address this directly with our child in addition to telling us we need to correct this bad behavior. It was 3 paragraphs of histrionics over this and no small amount of shaming us as parents.
Okay, I really, really want to know, do you guys normally communicate over email?
Right?
Because sending an email is like one step below printing out and mailing them a letter.
Who communicates with their family over any way other than text?
Text or phone call. I feel like there's like levels of aggression.
Mm-hmm.
Like casual annoyance is text. Upset is phone call. Pissed off is a formal email or letter. Like, I guess it caps out at like certified mail.
Yeah. What else can you do? Hire singing telegram people to come.
Right?
We spoke with the 7-year-old who said she ate a lot of bread and knew it was making crumbs, but she didn't sweep them onto the floor. They just happened while eating. We spoke gently about being a considerate guest. No big deal.
That's where the conversation should end, yes.
I, however, was quite shocked and offended by the intensity of judgment and shaming in sister-in-law's email to us. I waited 24 hours, then simply wrote, "Apologies. We spoke with her. Thank you." Now husband is saying I went nuclear with my response, and sister-in-law is angry about it. It is true that that reply is a completely different tone and terseness than my usual normal communication style, and the terseness was intentional. But why am I now the villain when, if anybody went nuclear here, it was sister-in-law who flipped out over finding a bunch of breadcrumbs on the floor under where a 7-year-old child sat at her table? Who is the asshole here?
I love that that counts as nuclear for you, because it was terse. That is a great way to describe that email.
Very terse, yes.
But not nuclear.
Yes, not nuclear, and I do feel like the terseness was a bit warranted.
It sounds like her email was open aggression.
Yes!
So terseness is warranted.
She was shaming you.
Yeah.
And your child.
Yeah, I have to assume sister-in-law doesn't have kids.
Oh, obviously not if she's upset over having to vacuum up crumbs after a dinner party. Because if she had kids, she'd be vacuuming crumbs up after every meal.
Absolutely.
And know how normal it is.
Absolutely that. Also, if she had kids, she would know to make some kid-friendly food instead of quinoa salad.
Yeah, I was like, she had nothing for her niece to eat except bread.
Yeah, she had curry fish, which a lot of adults won't even eat, quinoa salad, and something else that didn't sound great.
Eggplant salad.
Yeah.
I was like I wouldn't have eaten anything at that dinner except the bread either. Me and the 7-year-old would have been hanging out together eating bread and making crumbs everywhere.
Yeah. Eggplant salad, curry fish, and quinoa are 3 very derisive dishes.
Sister-in-law sounds very hoity-toity and stuck up if that's what she's serving and is that upset over crumbs on her floor.
What type of gathering was this?
Okay, they just said dinner with the sister-in-law, and they didn't say if other people were invited or if it was just them.
Okay.
Nowhere in there does it say.
I don't know. They were off talking while daughter... It sounds like a family gathering to me or something. I think that your daughter behaved great, honestly. A 7-year-old making crumbs is, like, not an issue at all.
Yeah, I feel like your daughter was very well behaved, and she wasn't, like, throwing a tantrum about the only thing there for her to eat was bread.
I've definitely been to gatherings where the kids, like, crying over the fact that all the food is bad and they want McDonald's or something.
Yeah.
No, your daughter is very well behaved. You had a little discussion with her about trying to be a less messy eater, but even that is like...
And like cleaning up after yourself when you're a guest at someone's house. I feel like that little conversation you had was, adequate.
Yeah, not worthy of a 3-paragraph email.
No. Top comment. She wanted to summon a 7-year-old for a lecture on breadcrumbs, and your reply is nuclear? Your husband needs to get his priorities straight. And I would keep an eye on her next time she's around your child and would absolutely not allow this addressing she is so eager for. She wants to personally lecture your child about her poor behavior.
No, you absolutely need to accept that the parent said, hey, we talked with her about it.
Yeah.
No matter how tersely the parent tells you that.
I don't think that there would be a next time with the sister-in-law. She has shown her true colors, and you would be negligent in continuing to expose your child to the sister-in-law. If hubby doesn't like it, he can kick rocks. I do feel like I would not trust sister-in-law around my child without me there to supervise what was said from that point on. It
sounds like sister-in-law is just going to go off on some long tangent, yeah.
I feel like sister-in-law does not like your daughter, is resentful of her, and thinks she is a very ill-behaved child. And I would not give sister-in-law an opportunity to let my child know that that is how she felt about her.
It certainly sounds like sister-in-law is going to burn a bridge if you leave her alone with the kid.
Vacuuming after having a bunch of guests over isn't out of the norm for cleaning up after hosting. Nor was there anything nuclear about your response to her email. You literally apologized and said that you spoke to her. If your response is nuclear, then what exactly is your sister-in-law's email? NTA, though it sounds like you also have a husband problem along with a sister-in-law problem. Who doesn't have a single child-friendly food other than an entire bread loaf that could even be cut up for her?
Did no one at the party notice that your daughter was only eating bread and offer to give her anything else?
There was nothing else to give her. It was all gross food.
I guess so. But yeah, there's been so many gatherings that we've had that was just adults, and somebody spilled something.
Yeah.
So, like, to expect a 7-year-old to do better than that? No, No, your kid's fine. You're not the asshole. Sister-in-law's a clean freak.
And way overreacting.
Yeah. Am I the asshole for buying dishware at a thrift store before someone else could?
I don't understand what you mean before someone else could, but if you got to it first and picked it up first, then it's fine.
This happened a few weeks ago, and I can't stop thinking about it. I went to Goodwill and I saw a really lovely set of wood plates and 2 matching bowls. I actually needed them for their intended purpose. I was going to grab the stuff, but there was this woman standing in front of them with her phone out, loudly complaining about how she can't find the maker's mark on the dishware, as the bottoms were left blank. I assumed she was one of those resellers, as her cart was filled to the brim with glassware, and I did see a leather jacket in there too.
I hate those resellers. They ruin thrift stores.
They ruin a lot of things.
And garage sales.
Yeah.
I do not like those resellers.
I walked up next to her and asked if she was going to buy the dishes. She glared at me and said yes, and told me to get lost. She was here first. So I just said fine, no need to be rude, lady. It was a simple yes or no question.
Get lost. Did people actually say get lost?
I have had people tell me get lost,
really?
Yes.
Oh, I never have. Now I feel like I need to do something to make someone tell me to get lost.
I mean, you just need to ask them if they're going to buy something.
Oh, okay.
You need to go to more garage sales.
Every time I do that, they're very polite to me.
They are. It's pretty rare. I walked away to go look elsewhere, and she was now looking in the books, but the wood dishes were not in her cart. I walked over, saw them on the shelf, and put them in mine.
Yeah, she left them. If you are not standing directly in front of them, you cannot call dibs. You can't call dibs and walk away.
As I walked away, she came back and noticed I had them in my cart, and she started flipping her shit, telling me she was going to buy those and they were from a super high-end artist. I told her she walked away from the shelf and left them there. If she really wanted them, she should have put them in her cart. She immediately started grabbing my cart and taking out everything. I had found a hoodie thing called the Comfy and some vintage Pyrex in a collectible pattern. She said I am taking money away from good people like her, that she was losing sales because of people like me buying shit to use and not resell.
What? That is an insane take. I feel the other way, like you resellers are taking stuff away from people who might actually use it and who might actually need, this stuff, and you're just snatching it all up to resell it and make it a profit. That's not cool.
Yeah, it sounds like OP was at the thrift store because they needed some dishes.
Yeah, she needed them and was going to use them, for their intended purpose.
Yeah, we've all been there. We've found stuff at the thrift store that I'm like, oh, I actually need this.
Yeah.
I yelled to take her hands off my shit, and by this point, an employee stocking nearby came over and asked what was going on.
Those poor thrift store employees.
I'm sure this is a daily occurrence for them.
Yep.
Lady tried to say I stole stuff from her cart. I said she was stealing from mine. Reseller lady looked around and saw a different employee had taken her abandoned cart she left in the book section and was putting her stuff back.
I love that.
She freaked out, dropped my stuff, and ran after him. I looked at the employee, who then just waved me off, and I left with my purchases.
Kudos to that other thrift store employee who started just putting her stuff away.
As somebody who worked retail, if that lady's in there enough, you eventually probably learn her face, and you are just waiting for her to walk away from her cart long enough that you can start restocking it.
Because it sounds like she's not a nice lady. She probably doesn't treat the employees any better than she's treating other customers. So I'm sure you're want to pull one over on her and make her miserable.
Oh yeah,
if you can.
Malicious compliance here.
Yeah.
It
was abandoned. I was just putting the stuff back.
Yeah.
It was abandoned.
Told some people about it, and a close friend I should have just given her everything because reselling is her job. And another friend agreed with her.
No!
But they only said that when I said the Comfy was a $50 garment.
Why does she deserve it more than you?
There's a quick edit just to add context to the friend's opinion.
Uh-huh.
My friend said they felt bad because she was reduced to being a reseller in this economy.
I don't think anyone is reduced to being a reseller. I think that's a choice they make. They'd rather not hold a traditional job.
I think that you could flip that around super easy and say people have to shop at thrift stores in this economy, and she's buying stuff before they can have it.
Yes.
She'd rather this sweatshirt go on eBay for $50 than someone pick it up for $5.
I don't think that's right. If you find that sweatshirt for $5 at the thrift store and you're going to wear it, why should you give it to someone else just so they can make a $45 profit?
Yeah, that's it exactly. That's just bad luck on her part, right? That's kind of how the thrift store game works.
Yeah.
Somebody else found it first. Good for them. You need to be more happy for other people, I guess. Or at least neutral to them. Reddit is very much in OP's favor, which I don't know if I even needed to point that out.
I was like, as they should be.
Yeah. Top comment. Not the asshole. The whole point of thrift stores is people like you reusing instead of it going to the landfill. People would argue she buying cheap and reselling expensive are leeches. Thank you for helping the environment. Good on you for saving money, and great, you got something to appreciate. When you go to a thrift store and you buy something for cheap, and you're like, I'd have to pay like $50 for this new.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great feeling.
It is.
When you find something at a garage sale or something.
I love finding something and being like, this is such a good deal.
Yeah. And a lot of the times it's like, this is valuable to me.
A lot of the times it's stuff where you're like, most people wouldn't want this, but I really like it. And I can't believe it's so cheap and I'm getting a good deal on it.
Resellers are the reason thrifting has gotten so expensive. You are definitely not the asshole.
Yeah, the thrift store is so expensive now. I don't even like going there so much.
You snooze, you lose. OP really wanted them because she followed up. If the reseller wanted them, she could have added them to her cart, then changed her mind.
Yeah. And it's like the reseller knew someone else was interested in them, so why did she leave them on the shelf if she thought she still might want them?
Yeah, you could just put them in your cart and aggressively hold on to them while you were thinking about it.
Mm-hmm. I told my friend why I don't want to date him, and our friends are saying I broke him. Am I the asshole?
Wow, how vicious were you when you told him no?
Enough to break him.
Yeah, you broke this poor man. I mean, you're allowed to tell people you don't want to date them. But there's a limit. Let's find out.
So my 21 female, friend of 10 years, Mark, 23 male, called me yesterday to meet him for lunch and that he had something important to discuss with me. I had free time, so I agreed.
Wow, you've known Mark since you were 11?
Yeah.
Okay. He didn't wear any kitty gloves for someone you've known that long, huh?
I had to go back and read it. Like, yeah, they've known each other 11 years. So yeah, 10 years. I met him already there and joined him. We had lunch and then we talked a bit about random things. Then he cleared his throat and started speaking. He first told me that he didn't understand why I was dating my now boyfriend when he's a better match for me.
Oh, Mark. Mark, that's so lame.
I asked him to explain, and he basically went on about how he liked me first, and he met me first, and he's more good-looking, knows me better, he's taller than my boyfriend and more successful, which is not true, in a way. My boyfriend works, aside from growing up in a wealthy family, while Mark's entire life is funded by his parents' wealth. He told me he doesn't understand how I can be with him when he's always been around waiting for me. I was out of words and asked him if he wanted me to be honest, to which he said yes.
Oh no. You were honest?
She was honest.
Oh boy.
I told him that I would never want to date him given how I've seen the way he treated his past girlfriends. He ghosts them when he feels like it and just expects them to be there waiting. I told him he's too immature and irresponsible for me and that dating him would be exhausting. I also explained that the reasons I mentioned was why, over time, I had started putting a distance to our friendship, because I didn't like the way he treated the women in his life.
No, baby, but I only treated him like that because they weren't you.
That does feel like something Mark would say. Because he's been waiting around for you to realize that he has always been there for you.
I tried to fill the hole with just random women, and it never worked.
When I was done, he was just quiet. He just excused himself and left. I went home and went about my day. Later in the evening, our other friends started asking what I did to Mark and that he's been a wreck ever since he met me for lunch. He's drinking and not telling anyone what happened. I explained to them what happened and they're saying I was harsh and that I broke him, blah, blah, blah. But I think someone had to tell him the truth. So Reddit, am I the asshole?
This is hard because you were really harsh, and I think when people say you can be honest, they don't want that much honesty.
Okay, but at the same time, it does kind of sound like Mark treats women not so good.
I would say there's no question that Mark is the asshole. He treats his ex-girlfriends like crap. He waited until you were in a relationship to confess to you, it sounds like.
Yeah.
No, I don't think Mark came across as good in any way during this. I just feel like you could have not given him that much honesty.
Do you think he kind of needed that much honesty, though? He's a terrible person and needs to mend his ways if he wants to get a good girlfriend.
That is a fair point. Maybe Mark needed this much honesty as his friend.
This might be the kick in the pants he needs to actually become a better person.
Yeah, I'm going to say not the asshole here. It sounds like Mark did need someone to be brutally honest with him. I still wonder a little if you were too brutally honest with him, but no.
I would say if you were really friends with this guy, that was maybe a little too brutally honest. You could have softened the blow a little. But she's been putting distance in their friendship because he's not a good person.
That's a good point.
So I feel like at this point, maybe the friendship has run its course. It might be time to cut ties with Mark anyways, be brutally honest on your way out and let him know why you don't actually like him.
I have to wonder why in the last 10 years you never just brought up to Mark that he's treating his girlfriends bad.
That's a good point. I mean, if you were friends with him, you might be like, hey, I don't know, is that something you feel comfortable bringing up with someone you're not extremely close friends with?
You've known him since you were 11.
But still, they might just be like friends, not like good best friends.
I guess so. I mean, somebody in the friend group needed to tell him before now, is what I'm saying. It sounds like nobody told him this up to this point.
It sounds like he comes from a wealthy family and, probably a lot of their friend group might act this way because they just all feel a little bit entitled.
It's true. They might be a little entitled or they might be yes men around him.
Yeah.
Once again, though, I guess it doesn't make you the asshole that nobody slapped some sense into Mark before it got this bad.
What I especially did not like about Mark's confession was that he basically went on about he liked me first and he met me first. Like, he has dibs on you like you're an object to,
That is like the generic lame best friend confession where they're like, no, I liked you first. I was waiting for you to notice me.
Yeah, and didn't realize he'd been friend-zoned.
Yeah, he got friend-zoned hard, and this is what happens when the guy gets friend-zoned and can't take it. This is the type of friendship-ending confession that happens.
Top comment, NTA, even if you had kinda liked him, I feel like declaring his feelings by being rude about your current partner is such a turnoff. He doesn't say anything meaningful or romantic about you, just that he thinks he's better than your actual boyfriend, so you should date him instead. So entitled. Yet he never said anything about, I love you, you're beautiful, you're something, all these good qualities about you. No, he just listed all the good qualities about himself and why he's better than your current boyfriend. Like, it's a competition, and you should pick a winner, and the winner should be him.
Yes, he blew every aspect of his speech. I recognize it for what it is. This is the speech of someone who has been friend-zoned. Could not get out of the friend zone, and this is his frustrated confession that's going to end your relationship altogether. There's very few ways to get out of the friend zone.
You speak like you have vast experience with this.
I am a man. There's absolutely been times that I've been friend-zoned, and I know people that have been friend-zoned. And the only way out of the friend zone is to, disappear for a couple years, and then come back, and then you're not in the friend zone because you're not quite a friend anymore, and things are back up in the air.
Oh, he's now changed and mysterious and new, and I don't know who he is anymore.
It sounds generic, but that's the only way I know to get out of the friend zone. Do you know of another way?
No.
No. You have to vanish and cut communication and just let it die for a while. And then you can come back. But, having said that, don't get this hung up on one person.
Yeah, doing that is kind of extreme and almost stalkery.
It's creepy.
You're planning out your whole life around this person who doesn't actually like you yet.
Sorry. Yeah, when I gave that advice, I meant go off on your own, maybe try to get over her, and then you can come back, and if you happen to meet up with her, maybe then you escape the friend zone by chance. Thank you for pointing that out. I didn't say that in a good way. Yeah, that did sound like a very, weird 4-year plan to get this girl to fall for you.
Yeah, I was like, that's a little stalkery if you're planning out, okay, I'm going to disappear for a year, no contact with her, and then I'm going to come back, and I'll have had my glow up in that time, and she will fall in love with me. That is really weird and obsessive behavior to plan that out.
It absolutely is, and you're not going to have a glow up unless you try to move on and better yourself.
Yes.
It sounds like Mark got friend-zoned, couldn't handle it, and then you told him the truth, and it broke him. You did break him. But he needed to be broken. Mark, this is your chance. Go, move to a new city, make new friends, find a new girl.
It's a competition with another guy, and he forgot the end goal. Maybe compliment the woman you're after instead of complimenting yourself vis-a-vis her boyfriend. So tone-deaf and zero self-awareness. This dude sounds like such a douche. It's the I met you first comment for me. So does that mean that my mom's OBGYN has dibs on me? Get out of here with that bullshit.
That's crazy, okay. I love that.
The thread keeps going. It was the I'm taller for me. What else could a girl hope for?
Right?
You didn't break him. His ego is just bruised. Rejection is a part of life, and it's on him to learn from it. NTA. And he did ask you to be honest, and you gave him exactly that.
I have to hope that you gave Mark the wake-up call he needed. The comments are right. He needed this slap in the face. Drinking all day, not the best response, but it's only been one day. Give him a minute. I agree with cutting him off. It's for his own mental health.
NTA, he literally talked about you and treated you like a piece of property. That alone would be enough to say not interested. The fact that this is how he treats all his prior girlfriends shows you who he really is. Anyone who claims telling him the truth broke him and you were too harsh is not someone you want in your life either. I would stop being friends with all of them. You are the company you keep.
I fully hope that Mark sees the error in his ways and starts to better himself.
And treat women better.
Yeah. Go find a girl you haven't been putting on a pedestal for 10 years. You'll be happier in the long run. Am I the asshole for snapping at my husband that he needs to get over his ADHD quirk?
Okay, I feel like, there are some things with ADHD you can't help, but at the same time, it is also your responsibility to manage these quirks and, live in the world with other people. So I don't know. I think it totally depends on what the quirk is.
I really try to understand my husband's ADHD quirks and sensitivities, but this one made me snap. Apparently, I blink my eyes too loudly.
What?
It annoys him so badly that he's raised his voice telling me to stop and will storm out of the room if we're laying in bed watching a movie or trying to sleep.
I don't know if I've ever heard somebody blink their eyes. Is that something you can actually hear? I can hear myself blink my eyes sometimes, but never another person.
I feel like it's rare when I can hear somebody blink, but it has happened. When you get that really, juicy blink.
I must admit that if I could hear that, it would drive me crazy.
He says I don't do it all the time, but he cannot handle the noise of my blinking most nights. I finally snapped at him last night after he told me to stop doing it, saying something along the lines of, "You need to get over it or take responsibility of your ADHD and stop thinking this is normal."
Okay, you cannot tell someone to stop blinking.
Just
what the heck?
Just either keep them open or closed. Pick one. For context, he's been to therapy and has been on medication for ADHD, but has since quit because he doesn't like it. So, am I the asshole for snapping at him?
Not the asshole. Asking someone to stop blinking is insane. But I do understand his annoyance with being able to hear that. I constantly have white noise going because I cannot stand the sound of my own breathing. And then I start thinking about my breathing because I can hear it, and then I start breathing weird because I'm trying to breathe in a rhythm and I can't stop thinking about it, and it is so annoying. Also can't stand the sound of your own breathing.
Thank you. This is great.
Yeah. So I constantly have white noise going. We always have a fan going in the bedroom. At work, the minus 80 freezer makes a very nice, lovely hum that drowns out everything.
We do always have a fan on in the room.
Yeah. Just because and especially your breathing, if I can hear your breathing, then I start thinking about your breathing, and I try to match my breathing to your breathing, and that's all I can think about, and it's so annoying, and I'm thinking about my breathing too much, and it's I can feel my lungs, and that is not pleasant.
You breathe 3 times faster than I do.
I know, which is trying to breathe at your speed is I'm suffocating, Josh. It's terrible.
We need to take deeper breaths.
So yeah, I totally understand. I can't stand hearing other people's bodily functions like breathing and sniffling and swallowing and chewing. Blinking is not something I've ever had a problem with, to be honest. But also, I know that I can't ask people to stop doing those things. This is on me to manage it, which is I manage it by having white noise going all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Putting in headphones with music. You gotta have some noise, background noise, to cover up the gross breathing mouth noises of other people.
I will say, when the white noise is off, or I'm doing something that white noise doesn't cover, sometimes you do snap.
I'm so sorry.
The thing that comes to mind is I was eating almonds.
They're so loud. Why is it so loud?
No, not the loudness. I kept doing this little motion to move the almond from my palm to my fingers before I took a bite.
You were shaking the bed, Josh.
Eating almonds in bed. Is that bad?
They're shaking the bed every 10 seconds. There'd be a thunk, and the bed would shake as you slapped your hand into the mattress to.
I did not slap it into the mattress.
To whip an almond from your palm into your fingertips so you could put it in your mouth.
You are being extreme. This is blinking. This is the same as blinking. So on this one, Reddit is actually being fairly helpful.
Oh, are they? Okay. telling her she needs to have a fan going so that he can't hear her blink?
They're actually identifying it as not ADHD. It's misophonia.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that, yeah.
So,
but I do think a lot of people with ADHD have misophonia.
Yes, I think so too. But they're like actually giving advice on how to make it better, and like the diagnosis is enough to help. Let's just read one. My daughter has misophonia. For her, it's my breathing and general noises of my mouth. Car rides were brutal because we sit so close. Just the diagnosis helped because she had a name. As time passed, I realized anxiety and stress made it worse. Other triggers are doing the dishes. To this day, either she leaves the house and goes outside when I am washing the dishes, or she will do the dishes because she's controlling the noise and it doesn't bother her then. The key factor to misophonia is it involves a visceral response that is irrational. If he's normally a calm person, you might want to look into it. To which OP replied, this sounds so spot on. He definitely reacts similarly to other sounds, especially with my breathing and eating. We had a traumatic birth a few months ago, which has been very stressful, and his issues have certainly been worse along that timeline. This is all making so much sense now. Thank you so much, and I'm happy your daughter has a diagnosis. That's a lot of what the comments are, is, hey, this isn't ADHD, it's misophonia, and here's some solutions, which is crazy to me that Reddit actually helped.
Yeah, Reddit never actually helps.
My neurodivergent granddaughter wears noise reduction earplugs. It helps a lot.
Okay, I can't wear noise reducing earplugs to like drown out your breathing and stuff because then I can hear my pulse. If I put any kind of earplugs in, I can hear my pulse and it's terrible.
I mean, you figured it out with the white noise, Kristie. You're fine. I'm not talking to you right now. Stop taking it personally.
But what if you're talking about me and judging me, Josh?
Uh-huh.
Are you annoyed by me and my constant need for white noise?
No, it's fine. And then there is an update.
Okay.
I really appreciate everyone's comments. I had my husband read them over as well, and he agrees that taking his frustration out on me was not okay. While he hasn't raised the concern until recently, our best guess is that a traumatic birth back in June is likely the cause of a ton of stress and making it worse. We did test it out, and he can certainly hear me blinking, or some sound that aligns with the timing.
Like turn your back and be like, okay, tell me when I blink. And he's like, now. You just blinked.
even if his eyes are closed or I'm turned away. So, she has loud eyes.
Yeah. I wonder if she has a medical condition with her loud eyes.
Constantly dry, maybe.
I was thinking overly moist.
Oh, one of the two. I agree with the folks saying it's likely misophonia and not an ADHD symptom. He says it's like a wet glass clinking sound, similar to other people in the comments. So There were comments of people saying that they know what blinking sounds like.
That's what my own blinking sounds like, but I can't hear it all the time, only like sometimes.
Uh-huh.
And it'll be like 3 blinks I can hear, and then I'm like, ugh, and then it fixes itself.
He has apologized and agreed to go back to therapy, see his doctor for a potential diagnosis, full psych eval, and try earplugs. It could also be brought on by suddenly stopping his medication, so he's going to speak with his doc about that as well. I forgot that he stopped his medication randomly. Don't do that.
Don't do that, yeah.
In the meantime, he's agreed to sleep on the couch if he can't cope and to not even bring up the blinking to me. Fingers crossed it lasts. Thanks, everyone. He married a loud blinker, it sounds like. Or he's got great ears.
That's another thing about ADHD people is, like, we always say that we can, like, hear electricity. Light bulbs make a buzz that, like, other people don't notice, and people with ADHD notice.
A lot of light bulbs do make a buzz, though.
Yeah, and most people don't notice it, but it really bothers people with ADHD a lot of the times.
Oh. We've got that plug in the bathroom that makes a buzzing noise sometimes, and I've taken that thing apart probably 3 times a year trying to get it to stop. I can't. It's perfectly safe. I've confirmed that because I take it apart so often.
But it's still buzzing.
Yeah. I don't know why that wire buzzes. I like this comment. Uh-huh. I'd be blinking even harder.
I would too. I'd be like, oh, is this annoying you? Is this annoying you?
The sloppiest blinking. I'd figure it out.
Put eye drops in so they're extra moist sounding.
Yeah. Rub them and make that wet sound.
Yeah. Like when you squish your tear duct or whatever, and it makes that weird squelching noise.
Oh, yeah. That's very hearable.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's our last episode for this week. Thanks for tuning in to Josh and Kristie Stealing the Internet.
Hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next week.